Welcome everybody to TrueFi Town Hall. It is great to have you here. So, couple things that I wanted to just cover as an intro to this town hall, just as a reminder of high level why we're here, what we're doing. We are building the protocol for uncollateralized lending on the blockchain. That's where it starts. That's where it ends. That's where everything that you're going to hear today comes back to. At the end of the day, DeFi is technology for being able to more efficiently, more transparently move money around the world. That's going to disrupt all kinds of industries. Lending is just one of them. We think it's one of the biggest ones, which is why we're going after it. And we think that some decades from now, a huge fraction or maybe even all of lending is going to be done on the blockchain. And that is what we're looking to build TrueFi into. So it's been a long and winding road to get to this point, and it's going to be a long and winding road to get to that point where we have trillions of dollars on the protocol, but that is where we're looking to go. So some major pieces that I wanted to mention that we have made really good progress on in the last month or two, and some things that we're going to be working on in the next few months. One is on decentralization. I hope that you all saw the blog post that we released recently about the decentralization of the protocol. We have on-chain governance. We actually just got back the code from audit. Our team is working through some final changes now. That's actually going to be going live on chain pretty soon. So we'll be able to directly, have TRU holders directly govern the future of the protocol, not just through snapshot as we have been doing, but through actual, fully decentralized on-chain governance, which is phenomenal. We're also separating out our TAM portfolios. It's our True Trading Asset Management. That's our internal asset management team. The portfolios that our asset management team will be running and be separated out from the DAO portfolios. This is something that we mentioned in the blog post as well. That's going to allow the DAO portfolios to be somewhat more aggressive in being able to pursue new opportunities, to grow the protocol, to deploy capital into potentially smaller or riskier portfolios that can help to grow the protocol and bring new asset managers on board, while still maintaining the TAM credit process that we've built out that is really an institutional grade, really, really solid underwriting process that we are right now starting to use to hopefully bring some really high potential lenders, family offices, other institutions to come onto the TrueFi platform. So we're really learning as a team and as a community to walk that balance of how can we be decentralized and grow quickly and be aggressive, but also build something that institutions, especially from TradFi, that we know are going to be a larger and larger part of this market over time as we grow and we get from that, let's say, $100 million or $1 billion range up into the 10, 100 billion, eventually $1 trillion kind of range. That more traditional market that we do need to bring on board if we want to really grow beyond just this core crypto market that we and a lot of other protocols have started. So those are a couple things that are top of mind that we've been working on here at the team. There's a lot of other great ones. One of the things that I'm most excited about is the phenomenal pipeline of portfolio managers and borrowers that we have coming up. I don't know if it's on the agenda today, Michael G. I guess we're hearing from Cauris already today, which is going to be phenomenal. There's some
I'll be touching on it in my section.
You're going to be covering that. Great. So we're going to be having some content later on those portfolio managers that are coming up. These are folks that we as a community, as a DAO, are going to want to be providing incentives for, going to be wanting to co-market with them, provide them seed capital, potentially from some of our DAO portfolios. These folks really are going to be crucial for the success of our protocol going forward, bringing on these kinds of high quality asset managers. And we're really in this time where we need to see it as, hey, the first 5, 10, 20 portfolio managers that we bring on, we as a community need to really support them, help them to be successful, learn from them how we can provide a better protocol for them to do their lending on top of. And this is going to lay the groundwork, this is laying the foundation for what in the future will be hundreds or even thousands of portfolio managers to come. So there's a really critical period these next couple months as we launch with Cauris, as we launch with other independent portfolio managers, making sure that they're successful, making sure that they love us. and ultimately we help them, they help us. So, I think someone has a little bit of background noise. Alexandra Liège.
Well, that was just me planning to introduce them later on. It's a hell of an update. Anything else you want to add before we transition to sort of state of TrueFi with Tyler?
No, let's give it over to Tyler. That's it for me.
Awesome. Thank you, Raf. And now we'll hand off to Tyler. Tyler leads all things analytics and often gets involved in treasury and product. Kind of a Swiss Army knife of talents here. Tyler, take it away. We'll hear from you, and you can also screen share to show some of the stuff happening.
Great. I'm going to drop, before I share, I'm going to drop 2 links so that I'll share my screen, but everyone can kind of follow along at home and reference on your own time. So in the town hall chat, I just put 2 links to Dune dashboards that now I'm going to share my screen and walk us through. And sharing now, can someone confirm for me that you see my screen okay?
Ooh, I don't, let me see. Oh, yeah, you have to click watch stream.
Yeah, so watch stream up there in the upper left.
Yep, I see it.
Great. Thanks for that. So just briefly here, I'm going to take us through 2 dashboards in Dune. One that shows our overall loan stats on TrueFi, and then a second one that kind of shows some changes over time. And I'll show what's happened over the last 100 days, roughly since we had the last town hall here. So overall in TrueFi today, if you look at the platform, protocol's done $1.4 billion worth of originations, a little over $1.4 billion.
Not bad.
Especially once we take, that number keeps climbing. You can see in this nice chart here how that continues to grow between our different pools. And one thing to know is, and also an invitation for anyone who has Dune skills. One thing that these dashboards lack are stats from our new marketplace pools, which today have about 35 million in TVL and 25 to 30 million in loans outstanding. So these dashboards will undercount a bit, and we need some work there to incorporate that stuff. So hit me up if you want to be a part of that. But within the DAO portfolios, our flagship portfolios, over $1.4 billion in originations. In terms of interest paid back from borrowers, over $26 million has now been paid back to the pools, which turns into about $24 million paid out to lenders, and almost $3 million has gone back to True Governance, mostly in the form of True Stakers. So overall, 121 loans originated to date, no defaults still, and over 1.1 billion has been paid back already, and a little over 250 million is outstanding today. Where we are today in terms of these pools is we just had 2 of TrueFi's biggest loans to date repaid last week. Those are huge loans out to Alameda Research that now has their own single borrower pool, and so it's kind of broken out from the pool shown here. So our utilization dropped from 80% last week down to 55% once those loans were returned to the pool. And so you'll see that our TVO number, which is our total value outstanding or loans outstanding, has dropped to the repayment of those loans. And that's kind of the focus for us right now, is how do we get more loans out to more borrowers, and ideally to new borrowers and new managers who are coming to TrueFi today.
While still, of course, managing our protocol risk and the risk of all of our portfolios.
Yep, absolutely. I think that gives us a pretty good coverage. I'll breeze through this one real quick. That just shows that kind of last 100 days view. So I think, as most people are familiar here, we've our TVL funds locked in our lending pools has hovered around $500 million back since February. And as I was saying on the last page, TVO has dipped since last week, where we were at around $400 million in loans outstanding. We had well over 100 million repaid last week, take our TVO down to its current number. And I guess other things to call out, which I know we've talked about on Discord in the past, are kind of in terms of the lending pool's composition. This has improved quite a bit in the past too, where there used to be one whale making up a huge size of the lending pool for a period of time. The whale's still pretty big, but breadth lenders today. And then what's a really positive note here too is on the true staking side. The number of true being staked just continues to grow. Over 215 million true staked today, which is around a third of all the true out there in circulating supply, and that's over 700 different on-chain wallets that have staked, which I'm pretty proud of. And the last thing I'll call out too is that we almost have 6,000 true holders on chain today, and that's just purely on-chain wallets, not counting kind of everyone who's touching true within Binance, within centralized exchanges like Coinbase. And it's nice to see it. This number of holders in our community continues to grow too. That's it for me. So I'll hand it back, but happy to answer any questions in the chat.
Cool. Thank you, Tyler.
Yeah, cheers, Tyler. Thank you. And as Tyler said, if you have any Dune skills and can jump in to really more accurately capture the broad scope of the stuff that is all happening on TrueFi, now is a great chance to DM Tyler or to do that at the end of this chat. This is community owned, community run, so it really benefits from your help. With that, we'll talk just about what it means to be community owned and community run. I'm filling a little bit in for our legal mastermind, Michael Bland. And we're also going to be joined by Hal, who's sort of the technical and product mastermind on this. But I want to say this about decentralization at TrueFi. This has been probably our biggest focus for this quarter for lots of reasons. And also probably the biggest, collaboration across all departments, across the whole core team, and especially recently across many of you, people who have contributed really cool governance proposals, who've made us, think about how to take this thing to sort of put it into everyone's hands here. Some who are even approaching as prospective governors and asking for delegation of SDK True. So it's a hell of a thing, and we really are ever more in this together. The blog post that was released just on Monday really does outline a lot of the sort of key things happening in decentralization. I'll give a very brief, 1 through 6 kind of a bullet point on this. And then Hal, I'll let you take over and tell us a little bit about how this is all happening from a rollout perspective, from a technical perspective. But to backfill a little bit, and to, again, crib note off of Michael Bland's deep work on this with regulators and sort of on the legal side. The big thing happening with the launch of decentralization as sort of the final steps here is the launch of on-chain governance. Previously we've done a lot of stuff with forum posts and polls and snapshots. That's going to become something that's all done on-chain using, binding SDK True votes with a few checks and balances that you can read a little bit more about in the blog. It does launch an independent TrueFi DAO. You're going to learn a lot more about that in the second blog post we have on this coming up a little later in May. It then introduces a really interesting new sort of DeFi primitive that we call the sort of DeFi MLA, Master Lending Agreement, which removes the need for trust token or any other centralized counterparty in the permissionless pools that are lending out, say, TUSD and other assets like that to major market makers and so on, by making the contract something that lives on chain instead of with a centralized real world counterparty. It splits the DAO and the TAM pools, making the sort of TF stablecoin pools standalone and community managed by many of you here. In fact, all of you here with any SDK True. And then, really puts TAM in an equal playing field position to, use TrueFi as a portfolio manager of its own, subject to your approval. And finally, launches SDK True Delegation, which allows for many of you to put your hand up and say, hey, I want to represent the community. I want to use my platform and my judgment and my experience as a member of TrueFi and other DAOs to steer this in the right direction. If you delegate to me, here's what you can expect. Again, lots more about that in the blog post, but I think I've said enough. Hal, let me hand it over to you so you can tell us a little bit about how this is going to get rolled out and all the crazy things that this requires on the technical side.
Can you hear me okay?
Loud and clear.
Give me 1 second. That's okay? Okay, great. I'm really happy to be here and to work on this project. TrueFi has always been designed to be governed by true holders. We embrace a philosophy of progressive decentralization with the intention of moving to full on-chain true governance after a period of launch and stabilization, trying new things out. So the current process we have has always taken into account community feedback when making changes to TrueFi pools and True Economics. The current process that we have now is there is a set of multi-sigs that own all of the important contracts to run TrueFi. What we're moving to is a system where true stakers will own and control all of the TrueFi liquidity pools and all of the true incentives. We're supporting Stake True, and I think Stake True is really exciting because people who stake True have a true commitment to the protocol and are earning interest from loans that are created on the protocol, and in the near future we'll have control over a treasury which accumulates funds from portfolios. So yeah, I think that's all I got. I'll just outline like the basic way that you can participate in true governance when we launch. So we're going to continue using the forum as a place for sort of primary focused discussion. Continue using Discord, of course, for everyday discussion, and we are going to keep Snapshot in the process as a sort of as a polling mechanism. So Snapshot will still be around, but it won't have any binding action compared to on-chain vote. So the idea with keeping Snapshot and the forum involved is that when a proposal does go to an on-chain vote, we want to make sure that people have consensus already on something being passed, so that people don't waste their time, they don't waste their gas. And another exciting thing relating to gas is we're going to have true delegation. So we're going to be making a call for delegates where you can delegate your stake true voting power to another account. So instead of voting yourself, you can trust someone else to make votes for you. So you don't have to vote every single time on chain. Rather, you can trust somebody from the community or somebody, maybe a developer or maybe Raf or me or anyone to vote for you. So once a vote passes, things will be executed on chain, and TrueFi will allow true holders to own and guide the evolution of the TrueFi protocol.
Mm-hmm. And one last thing I want to end on here is this whole scope of decentralization is ultimately still subject to community approval. It's still something that's got to go through the process of being approved by this community and this governance process to formally go live. So think of this as one of the big proposals from the core team of how to put this thing in your hands. With that in mind, Hal, can you give a hint a little bit of the, maybe up 2 or 3 incoming proposals that are going to take this sort of on-chain process live? I know that we were kind of chopping it up a little bit last time, and I wonder, what will the forum be coming soon in terms of actual proposals to push this live?
So I think we're going to have a forum post very soon, which will sort of outline what I just discussed here, and sort of think we will have one final snapshot vote, which ensures that everyone agrees on the movement to use stake true as the voting token. So I'm going to post a more detailed description on the forum. Still move to snapshot. Once that's passed, there's actually a few exciting initial proposals that I'm excited about. The primary one being allowing the TrueFi DAO to actually own and control the TFLP liquidity pools that are on chain. So instead of trusting a small group of people with a multi-sig, TrueFi can have fully decentralized DAO-owned liquidity pools on chain and can decide who to lend to and when to lend. Which we already essentially do, but this is a full control that allows TrueFi to operate independently from anyone, any organization.
Sweet. Awesome. Okay, watch the forum for some of those things coming in. Again, this decentralization movement does not happen without you. And read over the blog post if you haven't already, even the summary, to get a good sense of some of the detailed stuff we're talking about. We expect a few more posts talking about the second and third step, which will include the launch of the off-chain entity that will sort of act as the nonprofit real-world anchor to all the things the DAO is doing, home for all of the assets, treasury, and so on that the DAO controls. And finally, look for probably by the beginning of June, the third and final post, which will talk a little bit more about the election of a board and all the off-chain matters that include taxes and regulatory concerns and so on that the board will be associated with. The board will be elected by and serve at the pleasure of true holders. So I think of it really as more of a representative system. So with that, we'll keep it moving. And next on the agenda, we have the chance to hear from Ryan. Ryan, you've been crushing the partnership game. Tell us a bit more about some of the stuff happening on Maker, FRAX, and beyond.
I'm happy to. But was I going before Alex or Alex?
I don't see Alex here. So, why don't you all sort of decide amongst yourselves who wants to go first? We can talk about the BD stuff and sort of like true sales stuff.
Alex,
first, and then we can talk protocols if you like.
Alex is here. We just got him muted. But he is on, according to the agenda, he's after Ryan.
Yeah.
Cool.
We talk about partner and protocol stuff first, and then we'll do our little partner intro.
All right, let me see if I can show my screen too. You guys see my screen? Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, I see it.
Yep.
Yep.
You can see it.
All right. So I'll try to go through this fast. But on the BD side, we basically break up our, stuff we do into a bunch of different categories. So I'll kind of try to go through each category one by one, and then also share some notes at the bottom where we're both get involved. The first thing we've had a big focus on recently has been working with the non-USD backed stablecoin institutes through their different programs to get them to lend to TrueFi or start POAP. So some of you may have seen, we recently applied to MakerDAO's D3M program. This will see MakerDAO lending. Somewhere between 50 to 100 million in DAI to TrueFi. We also applied to FRAX's AML program. This will see FRAX lending 100 million to TrueFi, 50 million in FRAX, 50 million in USDC. And over the coming weeks, we'll be making similar proposals to Terra, Ferrari, and other large DAOs. My goal here is to line up about 500 million from these different issuers, DAOs, that we can deploy on TrueFi over the next 6 months. So, some of these like MakerDAO, we're starting at 50 to 100 million, but we're hoping to scale this up well into 100 million. Next are portfolio managers. So, Cauris will be speaking next, but Cauris will likely be our first portfolio manager. For anyone who's not familiar, portfolio managers is functionality that was added over the past couple of months that allows anyone to deploy a lending portfolio. The idea is that we want to attract managers that are experts, different for ones that we are not familiar with. So some of the first ones that we'll be working with here include Cauris, who will be portfolio focused on fintech, specifically markets. We'll also be working with New Network. It's something you've seen I post about this in our Discord. But Woo is a kind of CFI DeFi DEX, and they will be creating a portfolio where they are the manager, lending Woo tokens from their treasury to traders on their exchange so that they can collect fees. And then you also might have seen yesterday that we announced that we'll be working with Teller. Teller does consumer unsecured lending, and the first portfolio will be a mortgage portfolio denominated in USD. They've introduced us to a manager who will be running this portfolio on TrueFi. They're hoping to launch that in the next week or two, and that'll be about TrueFi. The rest of here haven't yet been announced, so I just put some general descriptors. But we have two kind of very TradFi focused portfolio managers coming on, launching portfolios kind of around different kind of types of structured credit, what that kind of more traditional type of lending or borrowers, but using DeFi fundraise. We'll be working with a kind of popular embedded fintech startup based in the Bay Area, that they would buy as well. And then another structured credit real world asset type. Yes.
Right. It's a little crackly on your end. I'm wondering if there's anything we do to improve sound quality.
Oh, sorry about that, guys. Let me disconnect and reconnect my headphones.
And while Ryan is working on that, I want to mention the thing that we have done with Perpetual and that we are about to launch with Woo. That is actually a lending area that we want to scale up significantly. So partnering with other protocols.
You're using background noise. No audio from you yet.
Testing. How was that?
Yeah, a little better.
Okay. I'll also try to speak slow.
Yeah, Ryan?
Yeah, maybe I can stop sharing my screen. Maybe that's why it's slow.
We can try that.
Unless I sound okay now. I'll stop. How does this sound?
Pretty fuzzy.
Okay. All right. I mean, if we can deal with the flaws, I'll keep going. And otherwise, sure it's good.
Yeah, I figure we got two options here. Maybe Bill, if you want to pick up a little bit of some of the commentary on what we're doing in portfolios to kind of round us off, and then we'll transition into introducing one of our portfolio managers here. I think that's the path forward here.
Sure, happy to. And I think, well, Ryan, go ahead.
I was going to say, I actually have a lot more here. I just don't know if you guys can.
It's choppy.
Ryan, I think you need to change your audio source in the Discord settings.
Ryan, people are offering to sell True to get you a new mic. I think governance vote will probably support this.
But in the meantime, I think Bill, you had a lot to say about how you were sort of tackling the approach to portfolios. I know we've recently split into two tiger teams, one focused on Web3, another one focused on fintechs, with still plenty of stuff happening in the institutional side. Maybe while Ryan figures that out, you can tell us a bit on the high level of how we're approaching sort of taking this market, sort of three fronts.
How's this?
That's much better.
Sorry, guys.
Keep going.
I recently got a second monitor, so now I have my MacBook closed while I work, and it was still taking the audio from there, which is why I sounded like shit.
Okay. Good.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, take it away.
I'll share my screen again.
You can screen share. You can hit us with the whole thing now.
Okay, there we go. Sorry about that, guys. I didn't realize I sounded like that. So, okay, sorry if you missed everything else that I said at the beginning, but back to this. We're looking to get commitments of about 500 million from these different stablecoin issuers for the next 6 to 12 months. If these go well, things like MakerDAO can scale up to the hundreds of millions, if not billions. Portfolio managers, hopefully you heard me when I walked through that. Some of the other partnership things that we're looking at are, we're launching a bunch of KYC or permission portfolios in the coming months. We do not want to be limited by our own KYC bandwidth for that. And so we're looking to get integrated with a bunch of these different KYC passports that are popping up on the market. And we hope that this will be a big way to kind of scale the lenders that can access our different pools. The other one is we're starting to do a lot more on the DeFi partnership side as well. We've already done some partnerships with protocols like AP Wine that allow for yield stripping on tokens. We're looking to do more things like that, along with working with different tranching protocols so that people can have different levels of risk when they're participating in TrueFi pools. Tyler's been leading some other partnerships around analytics, and I'm hoping we're going to be integrated with Token Terminal in coming weeks or months. Dropping a little bit of alpha here, so please don't share this on Twitter, but I'll share it here anyway. We are looking to deploy on layer 2s very shortly. I think that we'll first be on Optimism, followed by Arbitrum, followed by a lot more after that. And I'm personally very excited about that. Again, I'm hoping this will open up a lot on the smaller lenders, as right now the gas on layer 1 is pretty prohibitive. And then lastly, we're always looking at different exchange listings as well. We're hoping to round out the U.S. market and have all the major U.S. listings secured March, April, May, hopefully by the end of this quarter. And then, I think by that point, we've got most of the major exchanges as well. We also have some speculative partnerships that are a little bit farther out, so I put them into this own category. We have a lot of conversations with fintechs and neobanks that are looking to TrueFi basically as a source of yield and thinking about how they can tap into some of these lending rates. And so we're trying to figure out how to better integrate with them. Ben, who is in here, is on our product team and is working on a lot of those projects. But if you think about things like compound treasury, we're kind of thinking about how we can offer similar type of products. Last up here are, is another area of focus for me on governance and tokenomics. As Hal and other people have mentioned, as we're getting to this process of actually, progressive decentralization, there is a lot of process that still needs to be stood up within TrueFi. As we've been working, for example, with people like MakerDAO, it really is incredible how much infrastructure they have around their governance. And we're maybe like 1/100th of the way of MakerDAO. I'd like to get us to about 10% of that. And so there's a lot of things we need to start standing up here. There are, really two big things. One is, I think, establishing processes around governance. So establishing the founding pools and the DAO portfolios. Once the DAO portfolios are stood up, they're going to look more like fund of funds, putting money into other portfolios. With that, we'll need to establish a credit subcommittee for the TrueFi DAO. And then finally, really figure out and lock down what the portfolio manager onboarding process looks like. Right now, it's kind of ad hoc. I think we just want more process around that. The other one is really around tokenomics. About a month ago, I ran, with Tyler's help, a bit of an analysis on this. Of the tokens that we have allocated towards incentivization and distribution, we are really underspending in a great way on liquidity incentivization and with stakers, but we're overspending on lender incentives. And my worry right now is that as we continue to add more and more portfolios, there is an expectation that each of them should receive true incentives. And right now we're at a place where we could really use some work improving our kind of quote unquote unit economics. The example I would make here is something like an Instacart, right? Instacart grew a ton during COVID, but I don't know if this is 100% true, but let's just say that they were unprofitable on every order. It puts them in this place where their top line is growing great and they're getting lots of orders out, but they're losing more and more money as they continue to grow. And we don't want to be in that position. So I think that there's a lot we can do here to really standardize and set limits on our incentivization. And I hope that the market will appreciate some progress like that as well. So I know that I am guilty of always talking very fast. I will share a screenshot of all of this in the chat afterwards. But please let me know if you have any questions.
That was a phenomenal.
Thank you, Ryan. Lots there, lots of alpha. You've heard some things for the first time here. Do with them as you will, make your bets. But beyond that, I figured I'd open it up to Raf, Bill, or Ben if you want to add anything else on the BD and sales side before we move into introducing one of our first ever portfolio managers. Raf, Ben, Bill, anything from your sides?
I thought that was a very complete coverage by Ryan. Great job.
Awesome.
Yeah, agreed. And I think a lot of those, the items that Ryan listed, are the sorts of partnerships that we need to be using to grow TVL and to grow TVO in the next couple of weeks and months.
Agreed. And what you'll notice there is, it's solutions to liquidity on the lender side, demand on the borrower side, onboarding of a bunch of new portfolio managers, so introduces a whole suite of things, and scalability upgrades for anyone to use as well, from the TradFi side to the retail side, using sort of lower gas fees. So it's a whole lot of problems and really scales this thing up. Beautiful. Well, it's a real pleasure now to introduce very quickly friends with TrueFi. the folks over at Cauris. We have with us Alex, who's going to tell us a little bit about what folks are doing at Cauris. Cauris is, really close to my heart. It's actually putting, you hear a lot from Silicon Valley and crypto. We're changing the world, making the world a better place. But until I met some of the folks at Cauris, it was nice to feel, and now I can say with certainty, TrueFi is putting money to work in where it counts. So Alex, please introduce yourself. Tell us a bit more about what you're doing at Cauris, and then I'm going to throw a question over to Ben to tell us a bit more about what it means to be independent portfolio manager. But why don't you say hello first?
Perfect, thank you. So thank you for the intro. So I'm Alex, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Cauris. And what we do at Cauris is we provide financing to fintechs in the global south. We currently have borrowers who are those fintechs in 6 countries, and that's Mexico, India, and 4 countries in Africa: Kenya, Uganda, Nigeria, and Ghana. And we're expanding fast with $100 million committed. And we've done multiple rounds of financing through DeFi platforms. That's actually, that was the genesis of Cauris, the realization that fintechs have a hard time accessing flexible funding to fuel their growth in the global south, and DeFi seeking high yield and having an interest in broadening access to financial inclusion.
Beautiful. And now, when you said the global south, it was actually the first time you said it, a term I only had heard for the first time. Could you tell me more and tell all of us more about what the global south is, and specifically some of the cause areas that you're allocating capital to? You have a bunch of amazing partners. I'd love to hear more about some of the ways you're putting money to work.
Perfect, thank you. So the global south generally refers to Latin America, Africa, Southeast Asia, India. It's just emerging markets is another term used to describe the region. And so what we do is we source fintechs that have a loan portfolio. That's the primary activity. We can support other activities such as remittances, that require liquidity. But lending is a typical activity that is that has a high requirement in terms of capital, and where the unit economics are straightforward to analyze, and it's actually a generally profitable business when the fintech has demonstrated capability. What is important to note is in the background, there has been a revolution happening over the last 10 years with the propagation of mobile accounts, generally called mobile financial services, mobile money, where folks now have access to their financial services on their phone. And so we see the rate of access to bank accounts ramping up from 8% in sub-Saharan Africa some 13 years ago, that now, is at 40-50% of the adult population. And so that was the first revolution. And now on top of that, what you see is a number of fintechs that are developing that are more use case specific. So we have buy now, pay later fintechs that we work with, for instance, in Kenya, Lipa Later. We will work also on asset financing. We work on asset financing, for instance, in Uganda, providing financing to a fintech that provides access to motorcycles for people who then provide taxi services. So my co-founder, our chief investment officer, and myself, we were, for instance, riding one of those motorcycles 2 weeks ago, and it's kind of incredible when you see the DeFi world that we operate in, that is very virtual, and then get to see the assets that people use to generate an income, right, sustain their family, etc. And then their interest payment is the yield that liquidity providers on DeFi will actually get. So that's
wow,
the types
Alex,
of companies.
Amazing, right?
That's a really interesting way to see it. The whole chain from signing a transaction on Ethereum to riding a motorcycle somewhere in the global south.
In the future, I think if we can have very small select group of folks, if they want to go see that they would be very welcome to join.
Yeah.
That'd be great. How much TRU does it cost?
How much what? Sorry?
How much TRU does it cost?
Oh, No, I just think it's an experience, right? It's a great thing to see. So we could do it without TRU.
Totally.
And Alex, as you're coming in, you're also pioneering something on the TrueFi side, not just the impact investing side, which is you're one of the first TrueFi independent portfolio managers, truly managing your own books. To that end, Ben, leading a lot of our product initiatives here, I wonder, Ben, if you could talk a little bit about what it means to be an independent portfolio manager, what it actually entails, and for who might be the most likely to benefit there.
Yeah, happy to jump in, and great to meet everyone here. Just I know you didn't do intros, but as a quick intro, I'm helping to support and drive a lot of our product initiatives around supporting independent portfolio managers, including Cauris, where we have a really fantastic partnership and are excited to help them raise funds on TrueFi. So what it means to be an independent portfolio manager for us is that we streamline the entire experience from onboarding, setup, and ultimately deployment of portfolios on TrueFi. Ultimately, TrueFi is the decentralized protocol that helps everyone from a borrower or manager to raise funds from DeFi and deploy either into other DeFi opportunities or into real world opportunities. In this case, for managers, we offer a sort of dedicated service opportunity. We offer onboarding support. We offer on-ramps and off-ramps to go from fiat for lenders. Like I said, like lenders deploy with fiat, helping managers deploy from crypto raised on TrueFi to fiat opportunities. And we're exploring additional opportunities to support the experience for borrowers if they need to also deploy or receive in fiat. So really everything between crypto and fiat, everything around compliance. So where people are deploying capital into real world opportunities, there are a lot of compliance concerns there to ensure that we have high confidence on the source of funds. So we are working right now with the compliance program that we've built over the past years in TrueFi and the broader Trust Token team. And we're exploring various opportunities right now to partner with other identity providers who will help us to grow the user base of everyone who can invest in TrueFi. So broadly, we are supporting managers with compliance services, with support, with everything it means to manage a portfolio on TrueFi in the easiest, fastest, most reliable way possible. Happy to take questions in the chat or right now, but hopefully that's a helpful high level on where we fit and how we're helping to grow the TrueFi ecosystem through a number of supporting services.
Awesome. And, Cauris is the first of many, and I think we're also a really good place to start. So Alex, you started working with a few other DeFi protocols to put money to work. I'm wondering, not to shield ourselves too hard here, but why work with TrueFi? What sort of experience are you having so far launching your own book, your own lending book here? What kind of comments can you say about the protocol from a portfolio manager side?
Thank you. Yeah, I'll say so. First of all, it's a privilege, right, to be able to be a portfolio manager. It's a lot of trust being put in us, so we really appreciate. It's also the result of months of work behind the scene with the team. And we work with several DeFi lending protocols, right, who all share an interest in real-world assets. What has stood out throughout those months of interactions, and some virtual, some actually face-to-face, it's three things, right, by which we evaluate the relationships. One is the TrueFi team has expertise in finance and in debt structuring, and that's very important, right? I understand the idea behind a protocol being a platform, but I do believe that protocols should have an understanding of what it is that is being transacted through their protocol, and I think the TrueFi team has expertise there, whether it's Roshan or Bill with traditional finance background and a framework to understand these assets, and that has been fantastic. The other aspects we look at is product, right? And so we've been impressed. I'm a product manager by experience, and I've been impressed by how the TrueFi team is able to take complex problems that have many nuances, like traditional finance is incredibly nuanced and complex, and actually render a simple product. easy to use, intuitive, with a lot of trade-offs to get to that simplicity. And that takes actually a lot of product skills. Basically, I find the product team at TrueFi better than me as a product manager. Not that it's necessarily the best compliment, but just I hold the product team in high esteem. And I think it works hand in hand, right? You do need a deep understanding of finance in order to understand what is the essential piece to have a simple product. And the third piece, it's the community that, if we were to choose a metric, manifests itself in the LTV. Like TrueFi has achieved outstanding growth thanks to its community. And so that obviously is also a very important component when we look at, who to partner with and take on this new role.
Huge praise. I'm sure the product team will pin that to their walls. Really something to smile about. And Alex, I think the two things to finish on here is to hear a little bit more about, effectively when people are putting their money into Cauris, who they're putting their money into. Tell us maybe a little bit more about your team, and then we'll finish off by introducing your upcoming forum post with the request to launch a portfolio. So let's end there with an intro to your team.
Perfect, thank you. So we are a mix of operators and traditional finance folks, with of course some DeFi technology. So personally, I'm an operator. I was launching mobile money operations 13 years ago in Africa, where actually I was born. I'm French, but also born in Togo. And so it's now an operator that has 70 million users. It's the largest in Africa, and so. And I've worked in Latin America, Southeast Asia for fintechs. And so that's the understanding of how they operate. And then my co-founder, chief investment officer, is ex-Goldman, debt structuring, traditional finance, and so is the investment team. Goldman Sachs is overrepresented there, but we also have some Citibank in case anybody worries about diversity. And so that's for traditional finance aspect, with experience in financial inclusion. The chief investment officer is from Burkina Faso, has pursued activities in microfinance there on the side, and our managing partner, Alec, who's on the call here, has pursued ventures in traditional finance, in financial inclusion. And I'll pause there just in the interest of time. And the other co-founder, our CTO, has ventures in DeFi so that we can fully understand the protocols we work with and put some data on chain and so forth as part of our development.
Amazing. Thank you for that. I posted some of those some screenshots there in our town hall chat of some of the cool companies that you guys work with to put money to work. Screenshots of you guys and some of your experience, so folks can get really comfortable with who's been managing their money and where that money's going. And all that's left to say now is for the folks on this call and any folks that are true holders, if you think this is a really great opportunity, both financially and also to see impact made on TrueFi, we have the forum post and snapshot vote for the Cauris portfolio, requesting true incentives to get things kicked off well. And then you should see the formal portfolio manager request coming in just a little while. So if you support Cauris and the impact they're trying to make and the way they're trying to allocate capital, make that voice heard. Make that voice heard on the forum and the snapshot, and hopefully soon by putting your money to work right in the TrueFi app. Thanks for your time, Alex, and everyone else in the product team and business as well.
Alex, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate your contribution to the town hall today, and really looking forward to working together to make the portfolio a success.
Thank you. And just want to thank Ryan, who actually is the one who found us in the first place. So thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, with that, we actually have some fun stuff that got slotted into the agenda last minute there. This is super cool. We have some really amazing people in this community, a lot of smart folks on all things tokenomics, community, and beyond. And one of the folks that we've been working with and jamming with for a while is Mesnomis, who also goes by Sam. He's been pitching a Curve participation for quite some time, and it's a hell of a pleasure to be able to give him the stage here. Sam, I'm going to unmute you and give you the chance to tell us a bit more about what you're thinking on the Curve side and the pool you just launched. Give us a test here. You should be able to unmute and say hello.
Hi, everybody. Is my audio like Ryan's, or is it all right?
Just to clear, my friend. Again, welcome to the town hall. You've really earned this. You're really blown us away here with some of the stuff you're doing behind the scenes to make this work. So tell us everything. And also I think that you're also considering maybe running for a delegation too. So tell us a bit more about Curve and yourself, and then how we can help.
Yeah, so my name is Sam. I've been working with DAOs for, since day one. Compound, obviously TrueFi. Now I work at a trading desk in Tel Aviv as a blockchain analyst, but I've always been a fan of True and always been a big fan of Curve. I know that when TrueFi launched, there was involvement with Curve. I really liked how we priced our interest rates based off of like the quote unquote risk-free rate that DeFi was offering, specifically the Y curve pool, which is not really that big of a deal anymore. But it basically raised a lot of questions about how we as a community and we as a protocol can incentivize liquidity. So right now, if you look at where we provide True rewards, it's towards 4 separate lending portfolios, as well as the sushi swap pool. If you look at how much sushi they're giving us, it is around $300 a week, which is not much. And that's compared to True, which is $10,000. 10,000 True a day, I believe, which is a pretty significant amount compared to the sushi. As well, I've been having some concerns about providing True incentives towards lenders, specifically staking your underlying lending tokens. Originally, it did make sense because there wasn't necessarily the tech to provide liquidity, and not necessarily liquidity in the lending market, but exit liquidity. So if you want to exit the pool, there's like a curve that you go on that's like dependent on how large of your withdrawal would like to be, and you're like taxed accordingly. Typically, there's more than enough liquidity to withdraw at this point, so it's not really an issue. But it would be an interesting idea to incentivize exit liquidity from some of these pools, either through a curve pool or Uniswap v3, utilizing something like Gelato. But that's more of like a high level, long-term goals. In the short term, I'm very interested in switching away from Sushi Swap towards Curve. I actually deployed a V2 Curve pool, which is ETH True. And there is zero liquidity in there. But utilizing Curve's bribing mechanism and Convex's like yield boosting, plus some of the Curve that actually still sits in the original TUSD pool, it would be a great opportunity to incentivize liquidity provision for True and incentivize staking. So that's about it. I'm very open towards discussion on this, because obviously nothing is set in stone, but that's about it.
Awesome. You're getting a lot of support here. A lot of people also voicing the same concerns. So then the 2 asks here: is there anywhere where this discussion can continue? Maybe on the forum, if you want to put some of this stuff together in a post, maybe that already exists. And then separately, what would help? I assume, providing liquidity, that curve pool would be a big one. The community considering True incentives could be a big one. What do you think the next steps are here?
Yeah, so I understand that there's a decentralization effort happening right now, and kind of a push towards like more of the DAO management. That's actually a good question about what the next steps are. Obviously, it would be nice if people could, seed liquidity, but I think that in the short term, that doesn't necessarily make sense. But I think definitely in the short term, I think really more engaging in conversation about this. I know that's not exactly the most productive, at least monetarily, but I would really love to hear other ideas regarding this. That's all. But yeah, see the pool.
Yeah, sweet. I think you linked to the pool earlier in our chat right before Town Hall. Town Hall is popping off right now, so if you could drop a link to that pool. It also seems like you got a lot of support here, so I think conversations will happen sort of organically from here, and we can also start a tokenomics channel. I believe Hal was already suggesting that to get things started. So what I propose for now, we can start up a tokenomics channel here in TrueFi. Oh, there we go. Beautiful. And from there, we can go ahead and start off with this exact discussion. We talk about incentives, allocating the liquidity, and hopefully get this thing from, this awesome idea that you've had and some of the work you did behind the scenes into a proper migration with appropriate incentives. Anything else you want to add?
Thank you so much. No, it's just been a pleasure hearing you guys talk. I'm very excited for the future, and everybody, and myself included, loves commercial paper. So keep it up.
Yeah, that's the spirit. That's the spirit. Awesome. And then anything from some of our sort of tokenomics and sort of governance wizards. Tyler, anything else you want to jump in to add on this? Kind of haven't been so close to it. I see Raph as well and Ryan have strong opinions on this. Anything else you guys want to add before we move on?
No, honestly, I think this is phenomenal. Do you go by, is it Mesomnus?
Okay, so it's an email address that I made when I don't know, I was like 12. It's my name backwards, so Sam. You can go by Sam or Mass. I guess it would be Masnomus, but I'm not really sure. It's a good question. But how do you think that I should be going about this? Because there's a lot of different decentralization efforts. I don't want to necessarily destabilize anything.
I think this is phenomenal. I would love to see this get fully developed and implemented. Tyler from our team is saying it's excited to continue the conversation. So let's move this to Discord and the forum. Let's get this developed, and then let's get this into something that once there's an alignment, let's get this into something that the community can vote on. And I think it's really exciting, the idea of moving away from SushiSwap, which is providing us some value right now, but potentially to a curve pool that could include a bunch of our different tokens and give us a lot of that exit liquidity, as well as some of the TRU liquidity that we're getting from Sushi right now. So I love the idea overall.
Thank you so much. Yeah, no, it's definitely a lot to work on, and there's a lot to Curve can offer a lot towards us, and just this ETH True Pool is just just the first step. So I guess a quick question to you would be the Curve locked in the TFTUSDC pool, TFTUSD pool. How do we get that?
Good question, Tyler. How? This might be a more specific discussion we should take to Discord.
Yeah, we have to pull it out.
Right.
Can you hear me?
It's a little silent.
It's very quiet.
How's that? Boom. Input volume. So we can pull the curve out, and we're establishing a treasury that would be controlled by the DAO. And I think a good move would be to move any funds owned or controlled by the DAO will be moved into the treasury and controlled via on-chain vote.
Exactly, and we've got the capital in the protocol that, look, if we as a community decide we want to farm a ton more CRV, I mean, we can make that happen. Get ourselves a bunch of governance power or CRV that we can stake. So there's a lot of stuff that we can do.
Well, it sounds like the creative juices are already flowing. I think this is a good place to pin this conversation and to move it into, again, Discord and the forum. We have the tokenomics channel already live. Thanks, Ryan. So from here, let's move along to some of the events, unless there's anything else you want to set the last minute. All right. Then we've got some folks with the background noise. So if you are unmuted right now, I think this is Raph. We're going to Silence you there.
My bad.
And to give you guys some updates about all things IRL for a change, you might have heard we had an incredible time over at DevConnect and ETH Amsterdam. Some highlights. Our engineering team has been producing a bunch of incredible workshops, 3 8-hour sessions onboarding 50 developers from Web 2 to Web 3 happened during DevConnect, and they were full. They weren't even open to non-conference attendees. It was purely conference attendees spending literally something like 21 to 24 hours doing engineering training. That was amazing. Our engineering teams from formerly, the dev shop now we think of as TrueFi Engineering. They won multiple hackathon awards. Great for the culture, great for them personally, and really highlights the engineering excellence we have here. And we're building a really, really tight relationship with the Ethereum Foundation. You might know them as the effectively co-producers of all the best events in the Ethereum ecosystem all around the world. This is good because we might have one to tell you a lot more about that some members of our team are deeply involved in over in Poland. If you want to see some of the team, you're going to be in luck. We've got Raf speaking over at MIT at the Bitcoin Expo. Great crowd for us to hire from, make friends with. Presumably many of those folks who launched protocols themselves we want to work with. So that's really awesome. We're going to be a permissionless with a heavy sort of BD contingent. We really think of that as kind of an opportunity to make some good friends in both Web3 and FinTech. We've got a hell of an event happening with Chainlink, featuring also Aave and our friends over at Armanino, who do a lot of our transparency and accounting. It's going to be a great event. Tickets are going to go fast. Go ahead and sign up. You're going to be permissionless. I promise you will sell out. We hope to be at ETH Prague, more so on the engineering side, small contingent on the technical front. And then we're going to be in ETHCC in a very big way. Little hints we can drop there. Some of our folks, it's kind of crazy, but it's almost like the team is all Dutch or German. Like a third or fourth of them are DJs. So we'll be spitting at different DeFi parties. We'll be hosting one of our own. And we're going to have a fairly high technical concentration over at ETC in Paris. Besides that, also looking at some more sort of like Web2 FinTech events. That's going to be Lendit over in New York. And then also Money 2020 over in Europe, and also the other one in America. So again, if you're at any of these conferences, drop a note in the chat, drop a note in the respective sort of city location, and we'll hope to meet you there. As always, folks in the community, we always, if we're producing the event, we have an allocation for our folks. We'll make sure that you get it. So just let us know. That roughly covers all the planned programming besides the POAPs and so on. But I'm happy to see that Railcage is here. Railcage is actually, besides being a longstanding member of the community and involved in our sort of governance proposals and discussions to date, also the first ever delegate proposal on the forum. So Railcage is the first, I think, especially. We'd love to hear a little bit more about what you've been kind of busy with and concerned with on the TrueFi front, and what you kind of want to see the protocol doing. And then what you hope to accomplish as a delegate. If people choose to delegate their SDK True to you, what they hope you might accomplish on their behalf. Railcage, you have the floor.
Okay, sure. So I guess the first thing I'd want to do is just talk to the delegates. I'd be interested in seeing what type of parties are looking to delegate and, what their big concerns are. In terms of what I've seen from users, I think the big concern is just, especially for the smaller users, they're more interested in, cheaper ways to either loan or stake their True, maybe through an L2. And otherwise just inquiring more about profiles and portfolios so I can, put together, give the people who are interested in staking a better idea of what sort of risks and rewards they're going to be getting with all these new portfolios we've been looking into.
Okay, and then besides that, I wonder right now you are running your delegate process. You have a post in the forum. If you could just drop that post in the chat, then folks have dropped some questions in there. And if you yourself have some SDK True kicking around and you love what the protocol is doing, but you'd much rather put the day-to-day responsibility of guiding its future in the hands of someone you trust. Give Rafael Cage a run for his money, and hopefully he can put you where you want to be.
Yeah, I'd especially love to hear from people on what they're looking for in their delegate and what sort of concerns they have. So,
constituency, look at you, good stuff.
I
think that roughly covers some of the things that we've sort of scoped out, but I know that we have a fair amount of engineering folks on the call, and we have Raf on the call here, and it's probably our most common question. I figure now's a good time as I need to drop some alpha. Ryan already hinted at it, but I think Raf, unless we have Marek or someone else leading engineering, maybe you can tell us a little bit about what we're doing on the L2 front. Save some of the best for last here.
Okay, this is good stuff. I'd rather let someone from the engineering team speak to this. Hal, Ryan, do we have a Christoph or Marek here? Someone else want to take this?
I think Christoph was here. Let me see here.
Ryan?
Ryan C, I think that is, not Ryan Rodenbaugh.
I don't think so. But Ryan Rodenbaugh, if you want to take this, you're welcome to.
What was the question?
L2.
Oh, you're the one that said L2s in the chat.
Oh, yeah. Sure. Yeah, so, I think as everybody saw recently, Optimism announced that, or they announced the airdrop for their token, and that they'll be, shortly expanding that in the coming weeks and months. We are planning to go live on Optimism with at least one pool portfolio in the next week or two. And I think that we'll be, my hope here is from a strategic perspective, we will be very well positioned to grow with Optimism as they grow, as they start to incentivize different pools and protocols, which is one of the reasons why I'm particularly so excited to be there. Following that, I think we'll be looking to expand on other L2s, just based on the experience and expertise of our engineering team. I would say that they're really experts on all things EVM, and so I think we will stay on EVM chains for a while, whether L2s or alternative L1s. Something we haven't really looked into, but that I've found interesting, have been the what are they called? Supernets and subnets from Polygon and Avalanche, respectively. Given that a lot of our pools will have KYC on the lenders, and that I think those subnets and supernets both allow for native KYC, I think those are really interesting to a lot of the things that we'll be doing. And what else? Oh, I guess on, with respect to Optimism, one of our, we'll be really doubling, if not like 10xing down our partnership with Perpetual on Optimism. And, maybe ahead of our Optimism launch, we can do another mini town hall and we can have Perp there as well. But basically, Perpetual will be building us in to kind of become a permanent piece of their infrastructure on Optimism. And they'll be having a real long tail of permissionless asset pools from TrueFi that will be lending to Perp. It's a little hard to explain without the diagram in front of me, but I'm very, very excited for it. And hopefully we'll be a big part of that. So, that's about it for me on the L2 side. Let me know if any questions.
The perp funding, it's kind of correct me if I'm wrong. It was kind of similar to DYDX's lending to market makers.
So that's what we're doing with them today, where we're lending to Amber in a pool that's very similar to DYDX's market making lending program. We're lending to Amber on behalf of her. This new partnership that we haven't really talked about yet. Actually, as an aside, have we talked about ALOCs and lines of credit at all on this call, or we've made blog posts about that?
We've only hinted at it on socials, but I think we're pretty comfortable talking about it.
All right, so we have another product we're rolling out fairly soon as well, which we're calling ALOCs, automated lines of credit. And it will basically be a permissionless version of our pools that uses a rates curve to set interest rates rather than the manual process that we use to determine borrower interest rates now. I think that the two upsides, at least that are immediate to me, I'm sure there'll be more that come of this. For one, it allows us to list a long tail of assets. So one of the things Perp is interested in is having all kinds of collateral types, like, Y, CRV, and, all the kind of crazy wire and CRV tokens. And so these permissionless ALOCs will allow them to do that, to accept all these different types of collateral, to set their own utilization and borrower curves on these. And yeah, we're really excited for that. Yeah. So these will be Sam, the TLDR is that these will be different than our existing tools. And hopefully we'll get a blog post out on that soon, because that will explain it better than I can.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I'm going to try to dig out the rule we have with this, because kind of seeing is believing on these things. The dynamic repricing of collateral in these things is so cool. So I'll try to dig that out on our Twitter and drop it in the chat. But again, visually, it's kind of like, it says a lot. So yeah, that blog post should probably come around the same time that we launch the sort of upgrade overall. So it's really
and getting this to be a core part of other protocols is really great. Just like how Curve has gotten so embedded into many parts of the DeFi ecosystem. That's where we want to get to over time.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, we're hitting about that last 15-minute mark here. I think the only two things to chat about here are getting the POAPs taken care of. So Matt, we'll hand that off to you. Tell us a bit about how we get that sweet POAP. And then we'll move on to our AMA, and we'll take questions from the community or give it up for discussion. Matt, over to you.
Hey, POAPs. So if you guys go to the Town Hall chat thread, I'm dropping a link to the Google form that we've created around April Town Hall POAP. For anyone that's new, that doesn't know what a POAP is, that doesn't know what we're doing here, POAP stands for Proof of Attendance Protocol. So it essentially gives you a proof that you were here with us on this town hall, and you can accrue these over time. I just did a little bit of a count today, and we're at 8 POAPs. I'm planning to roll out a rewards program once we hit 10. So we're closing in on that number, and definitely get excited about it. It's going to be a great way to, thank you guys for your dedication to, showing up to our town halls, to our in-person events, just dedication to the project overall. So really excited about this kind of project here that we're developing. And I'm going to leave this POAP Google form open for the next, let's say, half an hour. So expect that to get closed by, I'd say, 4 p.m. the latest. EST password, good, thank you for asking, is all lowercase, TrueFi POAP. I'm been advised to not type it into any fields or anything like that, so that we don't get botted. But all lowercase, all one word, TrueFi POAP. POAP is spelled POAP. And
TrueFi is spelled TRUEFI, by the way.
Yes, thank you. So all one word, all lowercase, TRUEFI POAP. Once you submit that, press the submit button on the bottom. It'll get recorded. Let me see here if we're getting any. So yeah, nice. We got some responses flowing in. That's really great news. I'm excited to see who has what and from when and how many. But I think we're going to be doing that, in about a month or so. We have one in the pipeline right now from Amsterdam, from our in-person event. That's going to have some of the graphics that were displayed on the walls of the event space that we were in. So that's going to be a really cool one. So that'll bump us up to 9. So technically we're right there. We got one more until we start rolling out some cool rewards for you guys. So
beautiful.
Yeah, that's about it from me. Thank you for the space. Thank you for the town hall, everyone.
Great, awesome. So this covers all the content we had planned. Evermore, but it's always been the case, but evermore, community participation in the stuff, governance proposals, delegates who are speaking their platform, new portfolios that are launching. This is the key reason we do these town halls. Yes, it's important for you to get the news and update on, product and BD and so on. But again, evermore, these are community owned and community run. And what we had today with, a guest, with some delegation, with new proposals, I know I want a hell of a lot more than that. So in the coming weeks, as you come up with ideas for things you want to present in the following town hall in May, that's a great time to help you, put you on stage, get you prepared best as I can. And of course, now that we're heading into the last, little bit 10 minutes here for questions, for anyone that wants to comment, now's your chance. So again, any questions, we'll take those in town hall chat. And any stuff that folks have that they want to jump in on and comment, you can just raise your hand and I'll unmute you. I got a question here from Rattle Cage around the structure of the teller lending with crypto mortgages. I believe Lucas was spending a lot of time on this. I don't know if, Lucas was here, yeah. Lucas, if you want to talk a little bit about this, or if there's anyone else you'd like to endorse to speak a little bit about the USDC Homes product.
I think Ryan is the better person, as he's been in the process from the very beginning.
Sure. Shoot.
Yep, I can take this. So the way that the flow of funds, so the way that Teller works to begin with, is they are kind of a little bit more peer-to-peer in terms of how their loans work. So, for example, someone who wants to take out a mortgage will post their credentials or financials, or whatever they're willing to pay, and then individuals can bid on each of those loans. Since they don't have pools on top of Teller like we do on TrueFi, they introduced us to a portfolio manager who's a real estate lawyer down in Austin, where their mortgage product is based. And he is going to be raising funds on TrueFi in the range of $2 to $5 million to start. He will be taking the USDC and then deploying that into loans on Teller. In terms of the fees, I believe Teller only charges a 5 basis points fee on their loans. TrueFi charges a 50 basis points protocol fee, and then the manager has discretion to set their own fees. If I had to estimate, I'd say maybe in total fees will wind up being like 105 basis points, is my guess. And then one of the reasons we're really excited about Teller is this is just one of the first products I think we'll be working on with them. They have some other things in their pipeline, and we hope that we'll continue to be a funding source for them.
Sweet, thank you. We also had a question around DeFi safety. I think now's a good time to shill some of our cybersec stuff. If there's anyone else on the team like Yuchen who wants to jump in and add a little extra color to it, then great. But I'll say we do regular audits. I think we're about 4 or 5 audits deep, and they're all from sort of the best providers. 220K in bug bounties. So we're always taking open source contributions to that. And if you are a white hat hacker or otherwise skilled in the arts of smart contract security, you can feel free to try to grab some of those bounties. There are injected bugs in there, so you're guaranteed to get some rewards if you find those early. And we have something that I haven't really seen anywhere else. The best equivalent I can describe it as is sort of an in-house white hat hacker team. 2 teams, red and blue, trying to hack each other's code, as well as everything from penetration testing to so the social engineering stuff. We have preventative measures there too, with a dedicated cybersecurity expert in-house. So I would say, as far as talking up safety, we're pretty good on that front, in my opinion. But of course, if it were to happen, there's insurance layers and plenty more that I think we can do there too. Take your contributions and ideas. I'm looking at some more ideas here for questions. Not seeing much. I see one here around explaining the perp with perp again. Dr. Crypto, do you want to clarify kind of what you mean? I'm not really getting the question there. Here's a question that I see around L2s. Maybe something we hand over to Ryan or Tyler. Around L2 deployments, will they be deployed as separate pools, or is there a way that liquidity on L2s can also make its way to the L1s or vice versa?
So I can take that one. I think the intention is that funds deployed on L2s will not travel back to L1s by the portfolio managers. That said, if we were lending to, just for example, Wintermute on Optimism, Wintermute has the discretion to do whatever they want with those funds, right? I mean, if we lend them on Ethereum L1 now, they can move that to Avalanche or Solana, it doesn't matter. So it's possible that the borrowers may take the end funds back to L1, they may take it into another chain, they may convert them into fiat, in the case of like the Cauris or something. But no, the intention is not to raise funds on L2 to then put that into an L1. So let me know if I answered that correctly. Separate OS.
Michael G, could I add one thing on the security side since that question came up?
Yeah, sure enough.
I found the slide that I wanted to share on that. If I can I project?
I think so. If it's just a slide, I recommend you paste a screenshot in Town Hall chat.
All right, I'm going to paste a screenshot in this Town Hall chat. If I can do that. Okay, so let's talk to this very briefly. So folks can see the screenshot that I just pasted in. Basically, our security program, and we can. It's a very, very detailed program, so we can go into it in more depth at some point, but it involves actually injecting bugs during development. And this is in order to, what we found is that, because we've worked with many, many auditors over time, some auditors in this industry are great. Some really are not that phenomenal at auditing your code. And the way that we've tested this is you can actually, we've part of how we've discovered this and been able to work on it is injecting bugs into the code. That way we can genuinely test. Let's say we inject 6 bugs into a particular release. Okay, does an auditor find all 6 of those? Do they find 4? Do they find 1? Do they find 0? That gives us a sense of how legit that auditor is based on bugs that we know are there. And then, of course, we're also looking for them to find bugs that we don't know are there. That's really the purpose of the auditor. So we do multiple external audits. We do a small bug bounty as part of this audit process. Do formal verification, which is essentially mathematically proving certain desirable properties about the code. We benchmark all these approaches against each other and estimate how good each one of them is doing and what might be falling through the cracks between these various approaches. And then, of course, once things are actually live and we are rolling them out, that's when we have our live big bug bounty with much larger rewards if you catch something that has successfully gone through a bug that has survived this entire process, which should be very, very unlikely. So far, this process has kept us very safe, as you all have seen. Lots of DeFi protocols get hacked every single week, and we are working very, very carefully to absolutely minimize the probability that is us next time that you read it in the news. So that's it.
Other thing, best cybersec team in the biz, I think. But what do I know? I see some questions here that are being answered in text. I thought I'd just read them out for us. In terms of new governance tokens on L2s, any other tokens to be launched as we pursue, other L2 opportunities. We're thinking here about a bridge of true to L2s. No new tokens intended to be launched in the short term. And then I'm looking here if there's any other questions here. Now's your chance. Last minute or two. Oh, we have a request for what's an example of an injected bug? Raf, if you want to comment on that one.
Yeah. So if Yu Chen is not on the call, he heads our smart contract security team. But Sam, it could be, so oftentimes these are actually things where during the development process, an engineer might write a bug, and then let's say during peer review, another engineer notices that bug. And normally, in most companies, including most crypto companies, they would identify that bug and they would remove it from the code. What we do is different. What we do is they would identify that bug and they would say, okay, great, we wrote a bug, we identified it, another engineer caught it. We're not going to fix it. We're gonna document it. We're gonna publish a hash of that publicly so that people know that this is a bug that we have purposefully injected, are purposefully leaving in our code base. And now, if you look at the image that I have there, now our formal verification team, our auditor number 1, our auditor number 2, the participants in our bug bounty program, all 4 of those different processes, we don't tell any of them about this bug. So we document the bug, we publish the hash so that later we can show, hey, this was an injected bug, this was not a natural or unknown bug. And then these folks, we see how many of these different processes catch that bug. And that's how we benchmark how well they're doing. And we can figure out, formal verification is, caught 4 of the 6 known bugs, auditor number 1 caught 3 of the 6 known bugs, et cetera, and we can really get a sense of how thoroughly we're catching any bugs that might be in our process.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Good. Awesome.
I would say, in addition to those bugs that occur naturally, we'll also sometimes purposefully inject bugs of task an engineer with saying, okay, well, think about a way, look at this piece of code, think about a way to stick a bug in here. That will be kind of tricky for our external auditors and so on to find. So we do both of those things.
Sneaky. Okay, well, that brings us about time. The questions were trickling pretty slow now, and now it's mostly conversations. We've got a good working group over in tokenomics for all things on the curve pool and possible migrations. That channel will probably soon become literally about tokenomics, and we have a lot of cool stuff happening there that Hal's working on. Look for a little bit more alpha on all things L2s soon, and then hopefully see some of you guys in real life at some of the events that we mentioned. It's going to be a hell of a quarter for TrueFi, prioritizing a lot of the decentralization efforts. So all the more reason for you guys to get involved on the governance side, because this is ever more going to be something in the hands of everyone here. For last thoughts, Raph, anything you want to finish on?
Yeah, I would just finish by saying thank you everyone for coming to our April Town Hall. It's been phenomenal to have you. I'm excited as ever. We've got a phenomenal team here. We've got a phenomenal community. We've got a huge opportunity in front of us. It is not going to be easy to get from here to the tens of billions, hundreds of billions, trillions in the protocol where we do want to get. But I think we're going to get there. So let's just keep building and let's keep growing TrueFi.
Oh yeah, thanks a lot. And if you want to join at the sort of front row seat, then Trust Token is hiring like mad. I'll put a link in the chat as well. For now, thanks for everything here. You're going to get a recording of this in about a week and change over on our YouTube channel. And feel free to share with your friends then. Until next time. Thanks again.
All right. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, everybody. See you next time.